PAT Louisiana's finest. I say, who that? R.I.P. Tom Benson. Shout out to the whole Who That Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Oh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got
Saints
that
Talk
flavor.
listeners, what's up? We back for another week. This is Saints Talk, the official podcast of New Orleans Football. I'm Kevin. You guys know me, and I'm here with someone you guys definitely know better. Nick, what's up to the people, man?
Yeah, so try to here. Anybody that downloaded this yesterday,
Oh,
we had a little technical difficulty. You know, we're in different places, moving around, trying to figure it out. So apologies for that. Day late. We're back trying to figure it out. Giving you the 45-minute, hour-long, whatever this ends up being, the little distraction.
I feel like I should have took the start of the other pod and just like put it over this one. just start where we got cut off.
Yeah.
I might do that, but I might not.
But yeah, I mean, 100%, you know, our thoughts are with everybody going through it, everybody from Louisiana, you know, places that were affected, and just hope that things get back to normal as quickly as possible for everybody. And it still feels dumb to do this a second
I
time
feel like
in
we're
2
doing
days.
it. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it's just so trivial.
night.
It's so trivial, but I mean, it is what it is.
It
and
is important. No, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
this is what we do, and you know, we're just gonna do what we do, and
that's our best. That's how we know to. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we'll donate and all that other stuff, right? But like at the end of the day, like I think, and fans say it too, right? Like football is a welcome distraction for a lot of people. And so I think a lot of the times the people who are providing, you know, access to the team and covering the team and doing, you know, what we do here at New Orleans Football, you know, I do think that matters to people. And so, you know, I know you tweeted out, you know, hey, like I'm not really sure exactly what to say or what to do, but I'm just going to continue to cover the team, and I hope you guys understand that. And I think that's that's the right approach, right?
I mean, it's obviously not meant to be disrespectful or to overshadow anything.
Yeah,
or
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
But at some point, you know, you need a break. Like, you know, I was watching. We got out to Dallas. We were lucky to get out. You know, I had a day ahead, and you're just watching the Weather Channel for 12 hours, and you know, at a certain point, it's just you just need to get away from it, and you know, that's being away from it. Like actually just watching it from a distance. I mean,
right.
I can't imagine what people are going through. You know, at home sweating, being
dealing
hot,
with it,
not having. I mean, like I'm not actually, you know, I'm just inconvenienced slightly, and I needed a break. And you know, I just think I don't know. I'm not gonna. We're here if you need it. If you listen to it, you want it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the message. It's, you know, and you know, not to dwell on it too long, but just a quick point. Like it is hard to pull yourself away from, like, especially like when it was happening initially. It was hard for me to pull myself away from it. You know, I hadn't heard from like my dad and, you know, his sister and, you know, my aunt and whatnot. So, you know, I couldn't get in contact with them. Phone calls are just going straight to voicemail. And I'm like, okay, you know, you just think the worst, right? And they, you know, end up hearing from them, and they're doing fine, last I heard. So, but it's just, it's when I did get a distraction, it was like, okay, it was good, you know, and then you don't realize that you're distracted, but until you're undistracted, right? So long story short, you know, like you said, this is what we know how to do. This is one of the ways that we know how to give back. And, you know, that's what we're going to continue to do. That doesn't mean we're not going to do other things, but I do feel like this is, you know, I don't feel like we're, you know, overlooking the situation or not taking it serious by continuing to do the pod and continue to cover the team. I think that's, you know, I think that's what the people want, and that's what we're going to do. So.
Yeah, so I'll just sum it up like this. As awkward and conflicted as I sounded trying to explain what we're doing and, you know, why we're doing it, that's just the internal conflict inside. And, I mean, it's just there's an extreme understanding that what we're doing is trivial and meaningless, and, you know, the Jameis Winston stuff, like, seems so small compared to, like, the thing we were most focused on for 6 months. it happens, and then this hits, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, this guy's the quarterback, cool. And,
45 minutes of the coach talking, and
yeah,
well, an hour of him talking, and 45 minutes in, they're like, oh yeah, you chose the quarterback
on the second day. So yeah, it was like 2 hours into it, yeah, and then Jameis, so that's just kind of where we're at with it. But anyways, Jameis is a starting quarterback. Saints are practicing. They're out in Dallas, and we're gonna cover it and talk about it, and let's do what we do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, yep. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We love the fans. We love the city. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna do what we know how to do. So, let's get into covering the team. So he did mention that Jameis was the starter. We've spoken about it here. We've brought it up. We predicted it. I think we were pretty consistently saying that Jameis Winston was the guy leading the battle. But yeah, just any thoughts on it? Any words now that it's official? Anything change? Since you've, since it's official, just your thoughts on him being named the starter, I guess. And what does it mean for the team going forward? Practice, cadence, reps, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the best player won the job. I think that he definitely outplayed Taysom Hill throughout.
Yeah.
The training camp, and then it became a little bit more evident in preseason. And look, man, I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm extremely encouraged, like by the things that we saw at him. And the one thing that stands out to me more than anything is that 3rd and 16 play when he was looking down the field, decided to check down. And look, the check down was a bad pass, fell incomplete. That was the one incompletion in that game.
He was only 90% that day.
I think in that moment, you saw the difference between New Orleans Jameis and Tampa Bay Jameis, because Tampa Bay Jameis is looking down the field. It's 3rd and 16, and his mentality is that he's got to, I got to save my team. I got to dig them out of this. This is on me. It's my job to be the hero. I'm going to ride out here and, Clint Eastwood this and figure it out. And this Jameis said, you know what? Let me just check down here. We'll punt. Defense is good. Get the ball back and see what we can do on the next one. And if that's who he can be all season, that's the player they need, because the talent it always shows up for him. It's never been a question of talent. It's never been a question of, ability, making big plays, anything like that. It's just always been the mentality. And in that moment, I think you saw growth. And if he, and within that growth in the ability to check down and be in control of himself, he didn't neuter anything else in his game. There was still the aggressiveness, but it was smart aggressiveness. And he read the safeties and made the right shots and made the right decisions to
That's true, because he looked downfield. Right.
Yeah.
He looked, right. And if it wasn't there and he made the right decision, that's a good point.
Yeah, like and it wasn't forced. It was a one-on-one shot against cover 0. It was a shot down the field against a favorable cover 3 look. It wasn't, okay, I have to make a big play. It was, okay, the opportunity is here to make a big play. And doing that and seeing the, and again, it's 10 throws, so we'll see what he does going forward. But I just liked what I saw in his thought process in that game. And I think you could see what he's learned over the last year in that game. Now he has to continue to prove it every single week. One preseason game isn't it. You have to show that 5 years, that's gone, and that doesn't go away in a game or a month or even 2 months. He's gonna have to do it all season, and you're gonna just need that evidence over and over. But I like where he's starting from, and I think when you see that, it's very clear why he got picked, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, just that curiosity aspect of it. I want to know what he can be, and I'm cautiously encouraged by what he's been able to do.
Yeah, and that's the tricky question, or that's something that I'm struggling with. I'm not sure how, because listen, it's obvious. It was obvious that was an amazing game that he played against Jacksonville, and and that can't be every game, right? That's not like, you can't like hold him to that standard, because he's Hall of Famer at that point. But how excited can you get about him, right? It's like, are you getting a player who was the first pick in the draft who is finally in a situation that's going to suit him? and he's going to play up to that draft status? Are you getting a guy who's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? If you are, then wow, right? Are you getting maybe a top 15? It's not as good. Maybe he's in that 13, 14 range, or are you getting a lower level starter, right? So it's just, it's hard to, it's just a wide range of possibilities as it pertains to how successful, we can speculate that he'll be right now. And I'm trying to figure out where on the spectrum do I lie, right? And I'm still trying to, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. The pessimist in me says, man, you're not, he's a stopgap for a year, and another one saying, hey, the talent's there. Just look at it. Now you got the coach that he fits with. So just like, where do you stand on that scale? Like, and I'm not asking you to do a prediction because that's impossible right now.
Well, let's define it. I mean, what is a top 15 quarterback? Is that Ben Roethlisberger? Is it Kyler Murray?
Oh, that's
is it
a good
Kirk
question.
Cousins?
I would need to I would need to pull up a list of quarterbacks. So all right, let me see if I can. So of course, all right. So let's just get it out the way. You got Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, Josh Allen. They're in this range. Deshaun Watson, whatever you think of him.
Russell Wilson, Josh Allen. You said Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. And so the next tier, I think you get it. I think that's those 6 guys are Mahomes and Rodgers are in one tier. Then those next 5 guys are in another. 4 guys are in another tier. I think the next tier is Dak Prescott. I'm going through a list now. I just finally got one. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, who I may put him above maybe a couple of those guys there. Ryan Tannehill. Now you're into so that's 11. So 12, you're getting into Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford. Right? 16, Matt Ryan. 17, Derek Carr. 18, Roethlisberger. 19, Trevor Lawrence. 20, Carson Wentz. And I can keep going. Now you got 21, Jalen Hurts, Jimmy Garoppolo, Fitzmagic, Daniel Jones, etc. Jared Goff. Jameis Winston on this list is 26. Tua's 27. Zach Wilson's 28. Mac Jones 29. Andy Dalton 30. Teddy Two Gloves 31, Sam Darnold 32, and that's from sportnews.com. I'll give him credit. So, yeah, I think it's probably fair to start in the I don't know. I don't know if I would have this list. I would probably have Jimmy Garoppolo higher than Jalen Hurts, but yeah, I'm just that's the list. So like, is he Derek Carr?
Like for me, like the average, like for me, it's kind of like Tannehill, like when you that just kind of setting the media and like the middle, that very middle tier for me, it'd kind of be like Tannehill, Murray, Stafford, Roethlisberger, Carr, Cousins. Like those are the names I kind of think of like is just like the kind of better than what most people have, but kind of that threshold between the haves and the haves.
Put Ryan in there.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's probably in there, and then like I think after that it's kind of like you get into that like Jared Goff, Cam
rookies,
Newton.
and Carson Wentz guys you're expecting. Jameis Winston, if you're another team, you're saying Jameis Winston is in that Jared Goff, Carson Wentz tier, right?
For sure. But I think that there is a chance that he kind of elevates above it. I mean, there's a chance he drops or stays the same too. But at his best, I think there is a chance that he elevates above it.
Let me ask you this. So the set of baseline. I'm glad we didn't just replicate the topics from last night too, man. We can just talk and come up with stuff. It feels good. That's just how we roll, man. Just give us both a mic and let us talk football, and we'll figure it out. That's how we roll in here, guys. Nuance.football/subscribe, by the way.
James, One other thing.
Go ahead.
Shout out to BetUS.com. Bet with the 3-decade leader, BetUS. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus. With crypto, use a promo code NOF125 for the 125% bonus, NOF200 for the crypto bonus. Bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more at BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid, BetUS. Shout out to them for holding us down and supporting the show.
Yeah, BetUS, man. They somehow managed to get over 100%. Still haven't figured it out yet. You gotta get the patent out on that, bro. It doesn't work for me.
It's 110% effort.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Bet you is the only people that figured that out. So shout out to them for supporting us. You support us, we appreciate you. That's kind of how this thing works. So question. Where would you put 3330 Jameis on this list?
I mean, 30 interceptions, you're pretty low, man. You're pretty low on that list. Where did you say you had him 26th on that one, or those people had him 26th?
That's where they had him. They had him at 26.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably fair. 30 interception season. I mean, you got to be dropped just based on that, regardless of whose fault it is in everything. And I think again we've said it a million times. I think it's a lot to do with Bruce Arians and the offense he was in, and I don't think that's really representative of him. But still, you throw 30 interceptions. I mean.
So what about the other year? So take a previous year, right? What I'm just trying to get a feel for. Was he in that same tier before the 30 interception year, or did that like significantly drop him? Right, the year before, was he instead of 26? Was he 20? Was he 19?
So I think around like the 2017-ish. I think those seasons. I'd probably have him somewhere close to that middle pack, around that Jared Goff range. And I think he's more talented, but it's just, he was still 23 years old in 2017 and still kind of figuring things out, maturing, figuring out who he was. But yeah, I think he was probably closer to that middle of the pack, that just kind of in there with those guys. Sort of like the Kyler Murray range and yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where I would put him. I'm trying to think of who did what.
But it's crazy. So right now, do you think he's in the Kyler Murray range?
I would rather. Man, I don't want to say this, but I think Jameis has more upside than Kyler Murray.
When you got against like not so tall NFL players,
I got nothing against them, man.
I set you up, and you like totally took the bait. Like you were supposed to like just not answer that question. What you got against him?
I mean, like being real, who would you rather have? Between those guys right now,
man. I want to say Kyler Murray.
But Sean Payton is the coach in this offense.
Oh, well, Jameis. Yeah. I don't know if Kyler Murray is that's a good I don't know. I mean, but he's still so young in his career, right? But is he going to get to the point where he's like we know Jameis can progression read, right? When Coach Payton was talking about him in the press conference when when Mike Triplett asked him, my future replacement, asked him if he was going to be the starter and whatnot, and he mentioned he was like, yeah, he can go through his progressions and something. So I think they see that as a strength of his, just based on that comment, and that's the first thing that he mentioned. And I would also say that you could just look at the games and see him read progressions, right? Like the first touchdown that he threw in the preseason to Lil Jordan, that was a perfect example of him going through his progressions. So. He's, I would probably say he's further along there than Kyler Murray is. Kyler Murray, I don't even know how much progression that offense requires. I think they want to go full wide and, let it fly there. But I don't know. I want to say Murray because he's a younger player and he's number one and there's still a chance for him to be great maybe. Jameis, maybe not so much. I mean, let's just be real. No one has been knocking down the door to sign Jameis Winston and yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a great answer. I guess that's
I know. It's I don't want to give like the Homer answer, and it's just I just believe in Jameis. I believe in Jameis's upside, and I think it's hard to get there, but I believe in his upside, just to a point that like when he's that preseason game, and again it's a preseason game.
Oh my God!
But like he looks so great, like the upside And you've seen him touch that in the NFL game, like his upside. And when you smooth out all the edges, like he has the ability to be special.
I was thinking. So how often because you went and watched a lot of his film last year? I'm asking you to.
Not often enough.
Okay,
that's why he's here. That's why he's in that situation. Exactly. That's why he signed a $5 million base contract. It's evident, we aren't breaking any ground here saying that. I mean. It's evident why he's in this situation, but as a rehabilitation and kind of bringing it all together, if you can pull that out, and I don't expect him to, and I think it's unfair to place that expectation on him to be the perfect version of himself the whole season. But even if it's 75% of that, it's 75%. I think you're moving him up. You're in that 10, 11, 12 category very easily. Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
I'm looking at a list. 2018 PFF ranked all the quarterbacks, all the teams. They had them.
They love him though. They
had him at 19 going into 2018, but it's behind Goff, Cam Newton, Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, and then Jameis. So
yeah, they love him there. I remember I've listened to some of maybe just one guy, but I forget one guy he just thinks Jameis is gonna. Well, back then, right? I don't know how he feels about him now, but yeah, I don't know exactly. Like I will say this. He's in the quarterback incubator, or he's been for the last, I guess year and a half, right, with Sean Payton. I will say this. I think Sean is going to make Jameis look really good quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
I think this offense, and I mean, listen, no disrespect to the legend. I'm stealing your quote there. That's the new. I feel like I'm going to be saying this all year, right? No disrespect to the legend, but a lot of the things, I mean, there was time where Drew Brees was just throwing to open players running down the seam, right? And that was just based on design. Now, Drew probably had something to do with that design, right? So that's where the legend comes in. The legend, he was a legend before he stepped on the field, right? I think the before the field stuff is what made him the legend, along with the on the field stuff. But I think a lot of the things that that Sean and Drew built over the years, obviously it's in Sean's head, I think is going to benefit Jameis. And I think he's going to be throwing to a lot of open guys. I think he's going to be throwing to a lot of favorable matchups based on, receiver distribution and splits. Well, that's the same thing, but you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, I could see him, looking really good at times just because the picture is painted so well for him.
Right. And that's it, man. I mean, Sean Payton's a genius for a reason, and
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, the stupidest thing people say is that the system made a player and all that stuff. And we've been over this before. I mean, it's just an idiotic thing. If you're in it's like you can't punish somebody for having good coaching.
You can't study Drew Brees and say that though. Yeah, it just lets me know there's no film in your brain. Right. If you studied a little bit of Drew Brees film, you wouldn't say that at all. So I just, moving on to the next comment after. But
even in general, I don't take anything from Ryan Tannehill because Derek Kelly and they build an offense around that and he executes it well. I mean, cool, he executes it well. I mean, it's just I don't take anything away from Joe Montana because he ended up in the first, the West Coast offense and was with the architect of it and they changed the game and I don't take anything away from Kurt Warner because he ended up in a revolutionary offense. I don't take anything away from Tom Brady because he ended up in a good offense. I don't take anything away from Drew Brees because he ended up in an offense. It's just stupid. I don't take anything away from Mahomes because Andy Reid's changing the game. I take a little bit away.
It's a pattern here though, right?
Marriage of coach and player usually turns into something special. Yes, exactly. You need both. Yeah. Yeah. I do take a little bit away from, Jared Goff having his coach tell him what to do and where to throw the ball. I mean, when you're doing stuff like that. When you're doing stuff like that, sure. But, I don't think that's not the case with, the stuff happening here. So good player, good coach. I mean, you need both to maximize. And sometimes a coach can lift a player and, sometimes a player can lift a coach. Peyton Manning can make people think Adam Gase is a genius, and then you kind of find out. But when you have both, that's when you max out and you do, those legendary things. And
it's both for the guys. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, before Brady he won these last, 3 Super Bowls, however many, when people started having a conversation. But, I think the consensus was, maybe Joe Montana was the best quarterback, right? And which is fair. I mean, he got one a lot, And yeah, like you said, I mean, he was, he played for an absolute legendary offensive mind who was, also, I mean, just the way the guy thought about teams. I've listened to, I think you've read that book if I'm not mistaken. But I've just read little bits and pieces about how he operated, and and then not to mention maybe the best player in NFL history was his wide receiver, right, and a Hall of Fame running back, right. But you don't take that away from Joe Montana, right?
No.
So. Yeah, man, I'm a little off topic here, but I just think, circling it back to Drew and Sean, I just think that, if Jameis executes a very well-designed offense, I think you can acknowledge that the offense is helping them without taking credit away from what he's doing.
Yeah, no, and they're gonna make him better. I mean, that's obvious. Like if they don't, nobody can. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
because they're gonna build it for him. They're gonna put him in the best positions to succeed. They're going to scheme it up and all that stuff. And if it doesn't work, it's probably not going to work any better anywhere else. I mean, I think he has his absolute best shot to become the player he should be. And
I think the NFL feels that way too.
Yeah. And look, we've established this before, that the coaching and the constant changes with his coordinators and all that stuff, there's just been no consistency. I don't think he's ever been in an advantageous position. Being with a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is fighting for his career, I don't think that's the best situation for a young developmental player that's entering the league at 21. That's probably not the best guy to have around. And
second to only Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
Flacco ain't mentoring nobody. Flacco said, "Nah, Brian, I ain't here for that."
The first time in Jameis's career that he's probably gotten true mentorship was here last year. I mean, from Breeze, from the coaches. Having just stability, staying in the same offense for 2 years. That's he makes it to year 3. That's a first. I mean, it's he's just true. Never really had that. And he's the man in college. He goes in the NFL. He's got a backup that's out to try to cut throats. It's just changeovers with coordinators and all that stuff. He's just really never been in a stable environment.
He got some stability now. Yeah, I mean, he cried for Drew, man. He almost pulled the TO. It's my quarterback, man. It's my quarterback. I was like, all right, Jameis. What Drew tell you after that last game, bro? Let the world know. Oh man! Shout out to Jameis. Man, I just think every time I see that clip, I just think about T.O. but yeah, I'm with you. I just think everything is around him, and I feel like when you draft a guy number 1, I think the number 1 goal. I mean, I'm not a rocket science here saying this, but get the guy in the offensive line, keep him protected, get him some weapons. If I drafted a quarterback number 1, everything that I do is around that guy, right? Like the draft picks that I make. If I pick a guy on defense, he better be doing something to make the game easier for the quarterback. Offensive line, weapons. I want guys that get open. My free agent signings, the coaches I hire. I just want some stability with them. I'd pay some good offensive coordinator a head coach salary just to make sure the guy don't bounce. I'm trying to give this guy everything he needs to succeed, right? I mean, I would do what the Falcons should have did with Kyle Shanahan. You can't let that guy out the building.
Right.
You had him there.
Insane.
You can't let him out.
It's insane. Fire everybody. Yes. Who do you want? Who do you want gone? Just tell us who you want gone.
Dan Quinn, I'm sorry, bro. You got to go. They don't make guys like this that often. It's
even worse. Like the Washington staff, they had him, McVay. There was somebody else too. Was it LaFleur? Maybe, I don't know. There were 3 guys.
I think it was McVay, but I don't remember exactly. That's why bad teams stay bad, though, right? I mean, you don't let Kyle Shanahan out the building, right? And I just think, and I mean, look, the Saints and their front office and their ownership, they understand that. It was the Sean Payton rumors for a while. And it was like, no, we're gonna just.
Yeah, it was McVay, Shanahan, and LaFleur all at the same time.
That's crazy. Yeah. And now you got, I mean, shout out to Riverboat, but I'm just saying I'd rather, Shanahan would be my top 5 if I was picking an NFL coach, right? I don't have the list in front of me.
No, he's definitely in the top 5, yeah.
Yeah, him, Belichick, obviously, and Reid, Sean Payton, and some more guys. But, yeah, it's just so Jameis finally having that stability, the quarterback, I mean, the offensive coordinator's been here just as long as the head coach, right? So it's so much around here to to facilitate his success that I'm with you. If he can't make it work now, I think he's a backup, right? I think I think that's where I would fall because I think, he doesn't have the best weapons in the world here, but, you're going to be getting Mike back. And then if Callaway is good, then the offensive line, which to me is like the most important thing, everything is here. I just think it's set up for him to be good. So we'll see. Okay, so let's move on to another topic because, man, Jameis got some love this pod. Just talk a little bit about the game being played in Jacksonville week 1. I probably should have started with that after, what we spoke about first. But, yeah, the first game is going to be in Jacksonville. Where do you stand on that? I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys think about your travel plans and whatnot. So, what do you think about that?
I mean, frankly, I'm a little bit indifferent. I mean, it's they got to play it somewhere. It would have been easier if it was in AT&T. Yeah, I think ideally, I think Duncan had the story. They researched it. Whatever. That's cool. I personally, I feel like an indoor venue would have been probably the best thing for this team. I mean, they're an indoor team.
But he got a quarterback that can throw now. It don't matter no more, right?
Well, I don't even mean on that sense. So I mean, like,
I'm joking, by the way.
They only had like 5 or 6 practices outside the whole summer. I mean, they practiced indoors largely. Of course they're a team that knows what it's like to be hot out and everything, but just indoor on turf. That's where I thought they probably would have went with it. But look, you got to play somewhere. It's a neutral site. It just kind of is what it is. I mean, they're gonna win or they're gonna lose, and I don't think it's gonna be because it's hot out. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. I mean, you got to play somewhere. Yeah, it just sucks that it's not here. It's weird that there's a concert like on like, I don't know what it was, Wednesday of the next week, Thursday of the next week, and you can't get a game in on Sunday.
Days. Like, come on, man. Like, get them out of here, man. You got to write that in the contract. We reserve the right to take my stadium back. Guns N' Roses or whoever the hell is performing.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Jerry Jones, I would have just like paid to have more workers come in and help them get it set up on a shorter. But look, I mean, I guess you're doing a stadium tour and you're at AT&T Stadium and it holds 100,000 people or whatever it is. You're probably doing a pretty big production, so maybe it's just ignorance thinking that, well, 3-4 days is enough time to get set up. Maybe it actually isn't.
I'm happy about my ignorance. I stand in it. It's not going nowhere.
I don't know what they're doing. It might be a huge production. So I mean, it's just we might just be talking out of our asses right now. So I'll defer to whoever it is. Do. Yeah,
that's what my wife tells me.
I was thinking like Arizona or even Atlanta's probably weird to play there. So I mean, I guess if you got to go somewhere, Florida makes sense. It's a shorter trip. You get in, you get out. It's it is. Let me just be real. I'm pissed off about it. I wanted to go to the game, man. Yeah,
bro. I was making that 3-hour drive, and I was crashing on whatever couch you were renting.
Yeah, I
mean,
look,
real.
I think it's 7 hours either way from New Orleans to Dallas or Jacksonville. So I mean, that's doable. I think you can still get a pretty good crowd out there.
Yeah, I'm in.
And hopefully
Boston,
they do.
Man.
I mean, I just kind of feel like, honestly, I just kind of feel for New Orleans itself in this situation. I mean, they didn't get to get any. And look, this is like way down the list of things, but given everything that's going on, but it is unfortunate that all last season nobody's in there.
Exactly.
Starting out this year. So it might be October before you get to go see a game in person.
Right.
And that just sucks. But I do have energy sources who think that
where did this come from, by the way? Like, can we just take a little pit stop on?
Let me hold on.
Like, what's going on, bro? Like, I mean, like what are you doing, man?
I mean, if I can't find out some stuff at the power company, what am I doing?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, what are you doing? Exactly.
I mean, I'm trying to find out, man. I ain't just sitting there waiting for somebody else to tell me. So I'm digging. So
how does one? I'm gonna ask you that in private. Like, how does one get an energy source? Like who are you talking to, man?
But like, there is optimism.
By the way, this is the truth. This is not a pod thing. I've never gotten a source from you. So, are your sources who are listening? I've never. I would not. If you tried to tell me, I wouldn't listen. But you've never told me because that's not how we roll. But
yeah, absolutely. But look, I mean, you can't tell anybody that stuff.
You can never tell your source.
That's how you lose your career.
Yeah. Or just say, Taysom Hill is going to be the starter 100. Oh, anyway, go ahead. My bad.
I don't know if that's a reference to, but yeah, I mean, look, I'm talking to people that are optimistic that they think like a lot of power is going to be back in the city, the metro area within, 2 weeks. Like it's probably more like a week thing than a week's thing than a month's thing. So I mean, that's positive, and they're already starting to see some of it come on. And
I think green. Yeah.
I think that's important, like for getting the operation back here. I think you could stage a game without everybody having widespread power. You just need, the stadium would have to be lit up. Your workers would, the place for the team, the other team to stay. Like that Giants game, I think is a possibility if there's enough progress. But like as far as moving the team back here and getting practice going here, they aren't going to do that until there is widespread power. Like you don't want 33% of your team sitting in the dark, sweating, not having, because they aren't focusing on the things that they're supposed to focus on. So their threshold for coming back is that pretty much, top to bottom, everybody has somewhere to go with power. Now, if someone lives, in a area and it's 2 people or something, you probably figure out a way to get them in a hotel exactly. Because they're going to be in a hotel anyhow. But by and large, you need everybody to be able to be comfortable and focus on what they're supposed to. So hitting that threshold is going to kind of be what it needs to get back here. And it sounds like, and obviously these things change, but based on what they're seeing and what they're going through, it doesn't sound like it's going to be as long as maybe initially expected.
That's like the most, like when I saw that tweet, I was so happy. One thing is I know you don't report BS, but just, yeah, man, I was just happy when to hear it. I was like, man, because one thing that I was telling some people who I was talking to about the situation they're not as informed about, what's going on. And I'm like, listen, the South is hot. The South is hot. And it's not just dry heat. It's not Cali heat. It's like wet, stinky, musty heat. Like anyone who's been down there, it. Like the air's different. And I was like, to be down there in that heat with no air conditioner that's not okay.
It makes you wonder how people lived here, man. Like honestly.
Oh man.
Like back in the day, like you stand outside for 4 hours in August, and you're just pounding water just to really just to stay alive. Like honestly,
man. Yeah,
you
man.
think about it, like you go in and it's all good. You reach a point where it's like, wow, I'm too hot. I'm going inside. Like you're fine.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
It's unbelievable to me that like it's just hard to imagine that 30 days in a row in August, 31 days in a row in August, like people didn't have air conditioning.
May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, you got to add a few more. Yeah,
there's a like 180-day period there where it's just like
just marinating in heat sauce. It's I'm with you, man. And listen, everyone who knows me knows my heart. This little 4-legged, handsome little guy, and love him to death. But when the wife wants to walk him, and it's hot outside, I'm like, I can't go if I've already showered, because I got to take another one.
It's devastating to think how people are living right now, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. So when I saw and it's crazy when I lived in Cali, I thought I was in Louisiana. I'm like, yeah, I'm a sweater. I go outside, I sweat, and I'm thinking that. Then I get to Cali, and I'm like, oh, it's not me. It's just where I was,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when I saw you, when you tweeted that, I was just super excited.
Yeah,
so.
Hopefully it is that, that optimism is real and it gets delivered upon, because it's dangerous. It's literally dangerous to be down there. Right? Like the heat index is above 100 degrees. People are out there. They got to find a better way for everything, man. You see that picture of that transmission tower, and it's rusted out and nobody's taking care. Like we got to be better, man.
I feel like it's a little bit of
go paint that thing. What do you like?
Go paint it.
That's it though. If you paint it, it ain't gonna rust. Like it's just basic common sense maintenance. You can't have something that important rusted out. Like just paint it.
Yeah,
we don't let our bridges go like that because they'll collapse. They paint bridges. Like paint any structure that's metal is important.
Well,
what are you doing?
Government just passed the infrastructure bill, so I think they need to send most of that to the, seriously, and I'm not joking either. Like that's the type of stuff that you would hope your And listen, we're way off. Like we were driving to California. We ended up in Utah somehow. Well, I
Well,
guess
it makes you
can get to
mad,
Utah.
man. It just really does. It
But
makes you mad when you see those.
No, I'm
those
with
pictures.
you. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. It doesn't. It shouldn't exist, right? And there's other cities where that stuff doesn't happen, right? So I don't know. I feel like New Orleans kind of gets.
Yeah, energy needs to do their job. Man. That's it. Just paint it. Just paint that thing. Like,
and I think they need to be regulated to do their job too. That's another part of it, But all right, let's jump back into this. Let's jump back into football. The 53-man roster is now it's kind of set for the moment. It's 8:59 p.m. It may be different by 9:01, but for now, we're gonna work with this information. If I'm talking to you and you quit talking, I know you got a text about something, so we'll play it. We'll play it that way. But anything surprise you about the roster moves? And do you think there are any corresponding moves coming? Maybe down the line.
Well, they still got to bring back the kicker. They cut the kicker, so he'll probably be back.
You think Baltimore?
No, they signed him. Look, if they were interested in Verity, they would have
claimed him on the waiver.
Well, or they would have just signed him today after he got through waivers. They didn't, exactly. And they left him out there. And he's on the Baltimore practice squad. You could always bring him back, but if there was interest, you would have signed him because anybody could have signed him to a 53. And you can't poach a 53. You can poach practice squad, but you didn't know he was going to practice squad.
Exactly. Exactly.
And there was interest there previously, but there hasn't been recently. So I think they're just okay with who they have.
Get some extra points figured out, and we'll be cool, bro.
Yeah, I mean there was definite interest in Verity at one point, but I think it's dissipated. So maybe they're just rolling with who they got. So that's one thing. I think that there's still
the fullback.
Yeah, they got two of them for sure, and Sutton Smith has an offer that. Well, the team didn't announce his signing. I mean, that offer hasn't been pulled, so they might have three fullbacks.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy they claimed, they got Arma on the practice squad and possibly Smith on the practice squad as well. So could be three guys. So that's where that's at. I think there's still a chance that Chris Hogan comes back. Trevor Simeon in some form or fashion is supposed to be on the team, so that's another one. So there's still going to be tinkering and things that they do over the next couple of days. Kind of getting everything together. But I think for the most part, it just kind of is what it is. And the guys you're adding, they signed a practice squad cornerback from somebody that wasn't on the team. As another addition. Yeah,
I was just looking at the tweet. These guys, the name, Holland. I think it was Holloman or something like that.
Kadar Hallman. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be some tinkering. There's some things that I think are going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be like major moves. I just think it's going to be kind of churning, which that's every year. Like churning the roster isn't unusual. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you think about the fact that they only have 3 cornerbacks currently on the roster, or is that a mirage?
I think that they could use one more. I mean, obviously having 4 guys is better than having 3 guys. And I wrote this on the site, and we talked about it on the Last Tape podcast. I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is listed as a safety. He's a cornerback reality, practical purposes. Yeah, I mean, he plays cornerback. He covers the slot. He's a cornerback. He's listed as a safety. There's a handful of snaps where he, drops back, plays strong, does some different things, but 98% of his snaps are at a cornerback position. Brian Pohl is called a cornerback. He covers the slot. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson covers the slot. He's called a safety. If Pohl was on the team, you'd up the numbers in some sense, but for practical purposes, he's no different than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. P.J. Williams has that flexibility, so there's another one. So
yep. Malcolm Jenkins has played a little cornerback too. I don't know if that's what you want him doing primarily, but in the pinch, he's someone that can probably.
You get to that pinch, you're in trouble.
Yes, that's bigger than a pinch, my man.
But I mean, look, there's 5 guys that I think you realistically can play there. I still think that you would rather have that 10th. I think they got 10 DBs, right?
Yeah, they got Marcus, Malcolm, Chauncey, Gray, PJ, Heath. That's 6 and 7, 8, 9 with the 3 corners. Yeah.
All right. Well, so if you were only rolling with 9, like you would rather have that ninth guy be a cornerback than probably another
Linebacker.
safety. Jeff Heath,
Okay.
and honestly, Jeff Heath is the biggest surprise to me on the team. Just he got here late.
Man.
Don't really know enough about him. He might end up having a great impact on the team, and what I just said about him might be just purely based in ignorance, because I don't know what he is for this team at this point. I don't know what his special teams role is or anything like that, but just kind of looking at the numbers, I think everybody would feel a little bit more comfortable if that last DB was a cornerback instead of a safety. It's just a numbers thing, and
Feels like they got like 8 of them on the practice squad or something. I feel like
yeah, they
signed
got
like
Russell
3
on the
today.
practice squad. Yeah, so
Russell.
you could yeah, Russell could be elevated for a couple games because they still have that
Mills.
in place.
I think the
Yeah,
Mills
Brian
kid
Mills
was
is on there. Yeah, Kadar Hallman.
Yeah, it's 3
So-
guys. Yeah.
You just kind of wish it was like one more that you felt great about though.
Yeah, like a real I don't want to say real cornerback. I'm sorry. That's not the right way to cover a team,
But just
like
somebody,
a more
yes,
got with a history of success, or someone who was better
a
at
more known
cornerback.
commodity. Yes,
Yeah,
more
yeah,
known
someone
commodity.
who was better at the position that wasn't a practice squad player. Because if they were good, they
Yeah.
would not be on the practice squad. So, yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, it just feels like I think that position they have to be lucky as it pertains to injuries. That's if they have one injury there, then it's a problem, right? It's a problem. I think you can get. It depends on how you feel about the gap between Paulson Adebo and Ken Crawley, but yeah, it's just tough sledding there. I just think you gotta just have a little luck there, and good teams are lucky teams a lot of times too. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. You did call the linebackers. It seems like pretty much every guy who played well in camp at linebacker made the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they made. I guess they'll be the number 1 team in special teams this season or something like that. We'll-
I feel I'm gonna be a little arrogant here for a second. I feel a little bit
Vindicated.
I feel a little bit vindicated because I was outside in the town square ringing a bell, screaming about the linebackers are fine, while everybody's telling me they aren't. So
And it's true. You did get a lot of smoke from that. You are crazy, by the way. But for just in general, but you get this win.
yeah, look, it was I don't know. I just thought they had a little bit of
If you know, you
depth
know.
there. Yeah, and look, we were in camp last year, so that's part of it. We saw Andrew Dowell do exactly what Andrew Dowell was doing last year, and I think the only reason that he wasn't on a team last year is because nobody else was able to see it, and I think that's a perfect example of the camp secrets and the no preseason and you can't sneak a scout into the stands to watch practice last year. I think he's a perfect example of the type of player that kind of was able to sneak through, and then once people saw him, well, now you got to protect him and you got to keep him on the 53.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they'll try to sneak him through later or something, but I don't know. But he's a good example of that. We saw Chase Hansen a lot last year in camp, and I thought he had a better camp last year than
He got hurt last camp, didn't he?
he made the team, and he got hurt and just didn't really get to do a whole lot. But we kind of saw more last year in camp, and he was a standout guy in camp last year. So there was some confidence there in him, and obviously I had no idea what Zach Bond was going to be, but so that was a surprise.
I don't think Bond didn't either.
I
can do this. Wow. Good hit, Sylph. My man, go ahead, man.
I'm a Pete Werner believer. I think eventually people will see that too. I think Bond's ahead of him though.
I was about to say Pete.
That injury hurt him. Yeah, that injury hurt him, and
Pete out of there.
It just opened the door. Bond stepped through. I don't know if Werner's going to get back through there this year.
The thing that hurt Bond last year helped him this year.
Yeah.
Right? Like the injury kind of kept him, which may have been best for him, but now it seems like, man, the Pete, because I think you said Pete, you had Pete above him before the injury,
Yeah, no,
right?
the team had Pete above him before. He was very clearly playing ahead of Bond in camp, and then it's he came back and switched. Look, it's it's not unbelievable at this point because we've been watching it for weeks, but it's if you take a step back and look at the timeline, it is unbelievable that Quan Alexander is not starting on any list or anything like that. It is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe there's I don't know. I don't think there's going to be an IR move tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's the day when they can put players on IR.
So you took the question. Yeah, that was my question. I was like, do you think they just IR him for 3 weeks just to? I mean, one is like, hey man, we're trying to protect you. You know, we've had you practicing. We just want to make sure you're 100% good. But in the back of your mind, like, you know, we need to see what 53 can do.
I don't know. That's I guess that's one small area of intrigue that we'll see. I mean, I haven't heard anything to indicate that. My money would be on Will Lutz being the only guy going on IR tomorrow. That would be where I'd put my money, but we'll see. I mean, there could be maybe Quan needs a little bit more time. I don't know.
I'll say this: if one of those linebackers, have anything go wrong with them, I'm talking about anybody from Dowd, Hansen, maybe even Caden Ellis. Like, I feel like they would just love to stash one of those guys a year.
Yep, maybe.
Yeah, it just. I mean, look. When Mike returns, you're going to need a roster spot. When Lutz returns, you're going to need a roster spot. You're going to need a roster spot for.
I don't think they'll have a problem finding a roster spot for Mike Thomas. I mean,
I don't think. Yeah. I know they won't.
There's definitely a wide receiver.
Out of this 53-man roster, I can think of about 43 guys who will get removed from Mike. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. But I'm just looking down the list, and I'm like, you look at positions where they have a lot of guys, and you say, okay, where can they poach from, right? Ty Montgomery is someone maybe I can potentially see. Garrett Griffin once Troutman and Van Nett are back healthy. So those are some potential moves. I'm not wishing cuts on anybody because that's not cool, but yeah, I just think that may be an area. Are they carrying more offensive linemen this year than normal? Because I feel like they
I think they're one heavy there.
Okay. Yeah, I think Throckmorton, Hurst, Young, and Clapp are the backups. So yeah, it was that list looked a little bit longer, but I was wondering if it was just Throckmorton having a long ass name or
this is going way deep. Derek Kelly getting cut and not immediately signed back to the practice squad was one of the bigger surprises to me.
You're lightweight offended.
I just can't believe he worked ahead of everybody the whole camp.
Yeah.
They've kept him around. I thought when Ethan Greenidge went down. That was. Oh
yeah, sir.
I thought that was the shoe-in for him, but no.
Yeah. I remember you.
They got 909. No, that's normal. That's a normal amount. The only spot where they're really heavy is tight end and safety,
and linebacker.
Linebacker. One extra linebacker. They got one extra safety,
and one extra tight end.
Yeah, one extra tight end.
Yeah, I definitely can see. Like I said, I think with the tight end, I'm pretty sure that has something to do with just the availability of Troutman and Van Nett as it pertains to maybe the first game or two. But if you get those guys back in time to practice the week before the game, I could definitely see maybe Griffin being elevated to the practice squad. And then
Griffin's on the 53.
Yeah, I'm just saying I can see him being moved to the practice squad.
Oh yeah. No, he definitely could be someone. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's 6 years in the league. I think you was telling me.
Yeah, he's been with the team since 16, man.
Man, I was talking to some people on Twitter today. It was Ryan and a couple other guys, and I was just like, man, if Sean likes you, bro, you good. You good. You're gonna make that little mealy whenever you get a year. It's gonna be there, man. Just if I was a player, man, I would be getting that dude his coffee, and you can call me what you want to, but ask Andy Tanner how he's doing right now.
I think Garrett Griffin is just the perfect example of someone who does his very specific role extremely well, extremely reliable. You know what you're getting every time, and it's just if you need a blocking tight end who can do some stuff on special teams, he's just perfectly fits the bill. And he's not trying to be anything more than he needs to be. He never does anything to be less than what you expect, and that's how you hang around in some capacity for 6 years, man. I mean, that's
true, man. That's true. And the crazy part is if someone said, Kevin, tell me name a play that you remember Garrett Griffin making, I wouldn't have anything for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, it's just kind of real. Bro. I mean, he's made a couple catches over the years, but I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, he just
there,
goes out
man.
and
Yeah. I'll say this: if he wasn't in camp this year and not on the team, I wouldn't have even asked you hey Nick, where's Garrett Griffin? It wouldn't have happened. So, and shout out to Garrett Griffin. I mean, he's clearly made a career for himself, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah,
I'm over exaggerating, man. He has one catch for 4 yards. But I mean, look, if you go through and you look at plays that other people have made, you're probably going to find a handful of plays where he did some things. He did some things. He laid down some blocks.
He blocked that safety.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when they need him, he's there and he fills that role. I mean, he spent probably more time on the practice squad than the 53-man roster, but I mean, he's just managed to hang around for a while, and when they need him, he'll give you those 30 snaps a season that you need, and he does his thing.
Yeah, no, that's him, man. Shout out to Garrett Griffin. Yeah. So I'm looking at the rest of the roster, and I don't see anything else that super stands out. Some things, some of the things you did call though. I know the Ian Booklove that I still give you a hard time about. He's been good. Just before we finish, just I remember Malcolm speaking about Paulson Adebo, and earlier this year he brought up how he's good. He's got size, got recovery speed. You can see he's got the physical tools, but he needs to work on his press technique. And you mentioned the same thing to me and all the pod listeners. And so in his recent interview, I want to say a day or two ago, he brought up that his press technique has improved, right? And that's something that he's taken to Chris Broussard's coaching with, and now it's just him staying locked in on picking up tendencies on specific teams when he get to play them, just regular rookie stuff. So have you kind of seen the same thing from him? It improving maybe a little bit throughout the course of the preseason / training camp, and does that make you maybe feel better about him if he has to play some early snaps?
Yeah, I think he did it a little bit better in this last game. There were seven. I wrote it in the film review. I believe there were 7 plays.
I hope you get it right, because anybody else got to read that. Your paper, your handwriting is not happening. It's not happening.
No, it's on the website.
Okay.
The last preseason game. I think there were 7 plays where he played press and nothing happened on him, and he looked good. It was good coverage. He shadowed well. He got his hands on some guys. There were solid snaps, and I think just overall he played a really clean game, and it's something that he's going to have to prove over and over against higher level players.
Because they're going to test them just like Jacksonville did, and the team before the Ravens, right?
Yeah, they did. And I just think that there's a difference between Chris Godwin and whoever he was going against Jacksonville. So I mean, you'll see those tests in the season. I think if he plays, that is. But I think that he's ascending, and I think he's starting out at a higher point than expected. And when they drafted him, Mickey Loomis, he's raw. Jeff Island, he's raw. And I don't think he's as raw as advertised. And I think that's been one of the better surprises at camp. And, I think he's done enough in these 2 games where you feel better about the depth going down the cornerback 3. I guess there's nowhere else to go after that.
That's it. But, he's the worst. He's the bottom. He's the worst. He's the lowest cornerback.
Man! Hey, if he's your worst cornerback's pretty good. They need people behind him. Yeah, absolutely. But
and also Da was remember talk about in the beginning of the training camp, close to the beginning, where Da was Werner good, Turner good, Adebo working on it. It's kind of he's come a long way, right?
Yeah, he has. And I think he's getting better, and that's just kind of getting out there playing again after taking a whole season off and getting comfortable and reacclimating. And you can work out and do all this stuff and drill technique, but that's a position where ball just has to come at you, and you got to get used to the feel of it, and
you got to get beat
and your confidence. Man, power is on in the French Quarter, so they're moving.
Here we go. Don't.
I mean, you knew it was coming on there first, but
that's first. That's ground zero.
That's
all right.
Huge.
Let's get it back into the more the homes and stuff, man. That's
absolutely.
Don't play.
I think Adebo's really like coming on pretty quickly. I'm excited to see what he does, throughout his career, because I think his starting point's pretty good. And
yeah, he had a much higher starting point than I expected.
Yeah, like comparing third round picks, PJ Williams to him. I mean, I think that his starting point, and we'll see in the season again. It's fact or fiction. But I think the fact is going to look pretty good. I mean, when he gets a chance to play, I have a feeling he's going to hold up decently. I mean, there's going to be growing pains, bumps and bruises, and all that. I mean, a cornerback getting picked in the third round gets picked there for a reason. But I think some of his circumstances probably, turned a second round pick into a third round pick, and I think we're seeing that upside, and just the comparison to him and other guys picked in that round, I think he's looking a little bit better than expected.
Yeah, I mean, if they picked him in the second, or maybe you would be thinking, okay, well, this guy's looking like a good pick, So, yeah, hopefully, I mean, if they can steal a corner in the third, that'd be golden, man. So we'll see. I just saw a tweet by Adam Schefter. Back at the training facility in Metairie, Louisiana, the Saints have a cold trailer that gets to 37 degrees to cool off players in between practice periods. Hurricane Ida's 150-mile-per-hour winds hit the 6.5-ton trailer and moved it 10 feet. That's just crazy to me, man. Yeah. That's crazy to me. So,
that thing is gigantic.
That's crazy. 6.5 tons, man.
Yeah.
How do you move 6.5 tons with wind? I just can't even imagine wind that high, man. Oh gosh. Yeah, I didn't mean to end the pod on like a negative note, but I just saw that and I don't know why I brought it up. But all right, that's gonna be it for us, guys. This is the second take on this pod, so hopefully we kept you guys' attention. I think you guys got a longer pod out of us this time too, so we should get it right the first time. So you guys, thank you for supporting New Orleans Football. You guys know where to subscribe. More importantly, you guys just stay safe out there. We're praying that everybody is able to get back to their lives as soon as possible, that power is restored, the city's back to how it used to be. New Orleans, it sucks that as a city, New Orleans has to keep dealing with this type of stuff, but, the city, I think Armstead said it, the team takes on the personality of the city and just being resilient, being able to get through stuff and always bouncing back better. So that's what's going to happen, and I can't wait to come down there and visit and, cause a ruckus and get kicked out of the city for a year, but we'll figure that out. So you guys be safe. With that said, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. We out.